Hey, hello everybody. My name is Kevin, and this is your vibe of the day. All right. I'm glad to be here. I hope you're glad to be here. Let's get right to today's message, and it comes from Archangel Ariel, Peaceful Warrior, as you see on this card. Incidentally, these are the Angel Prayer Oracles cards from Kyle Gray. Um, let's see. Jason McCready, I believe, did the McCreedle. I'm sorry, I keep calling him McCready. It is McCready. Did the illustrations for this deck. So the prayer that goes with Archangel Ariel today is, thank you, Ariel, for helping me stand my ground with peace. Archangel Ariel is the Archangel Warrior, and really behind the message, Archangel Ariel knows that there are challenging times that face everybody most of the time, and how this angel sees you and sees you taking care of your family and your loved ones and holding and handling space for them so well. She's also here to remind you that while the angels know that you have a voice and that you're not too frightened of coming forward and expressing yourself, it is time that you look at what harm can be done by going to war. Is it better to be right, to stand your ground and to speak your politics and your truth and dig into the egoic part? Or is it better to walk away, leave things, and go with joy and peace? It's uncharacteristic, being in a human form, for us to look at those that challenge us, situations that challenge us, opinions that challenge us, and not want to get into the muck and the mire of it. That is a human, egoic, fear-based reaction. It's sometimes so impulsive, responsive, it causes us to act and react really out of fear, which is all in the ego. Walking through the pathway of forgiveness to get to lightness, to get to brightness, happiness, and joy, allows us to see that, look at it, and indeed, life will present situations and challenges that exemplify it. The habitual little pettiness and habits that we have fallen into resurface. They resurface for us to see where can we fight our corners, stay to our truth, be authentic, but not dump and jump into the reactive mode of fighting, using harsh words and actions. And it's really a challenge to do it when we are in challenging times and gathering with others who are also stirring the pot and getting their point across and looking at protests and anger and resentment and what they're not getting, what they are getting. And true, counting blessings, being grateful, living in love, hope, peace, harmony, all of those things does help. For me personally, getting to ground, meaning coming back to basics, finding something to clean, something to tidy, something to sort, something to sift, a book to read, an inspiring movie to watch, some uplifting music, a bath, good food, essential oils, all of the things that help to raise up the internal vibration. Yes, I could call it a distraction because, there are good distractions like that, like I'm talking about raising the vibration. And there are distractions that come along to avoid situations. I'll put that off. Yeah, no, let's just not look at that. Yeah, I just pretend that didn't happen. And they're all okay, particularly if we find ourselves up against something that is not really working right. There is that lioness, that inner warrior that wants to come up and come out and go and carry on. That's a challenge to sort of sit back and to work with peace. Looking at some of the iconic leaders who have led people into victory without violence. Winston Churchill comes to mind, and I've mentioned all these folks before. Emily Pankhurst, way on back, Joan of Arc. Many of these iconic individuals who stood up for what they believed in and challenged, but yet were not particularly violent or destructive in the process. They just knew their convictions, the power of their convictions, and stood strong in them without pushing, shoving, or making somebody else wrong or getting into that combativeness. I think there's big lessons to be learned in the transformation process. And as I've said many times, it's necessary to let things go. It's necessary to walk away, to close the doors on much that has not worked, or close the doors on the things that have worked, but now it's time to move on. That's the challenge. We find ourselves clinging on to good times, good things, good situations, great people. And when it is time for that to end, and they will end, they do end, everything has to move forward. There's this fear that we don't want things to end. We do not want things to transform. We don't want the good things to go away. And that creates the fear that it will go away, that will transform, that it will be different. And the fear causes the ego to hold on to comfort. So to even believe and think that something is better or will be or is going to be or is coming, and even to expect it, particularly when we don't know what that is, that creates this challenge. That creates this, I just don't know. It's somewhat necessary to get empty, to empty out the bucket of bother and sit for a bit in that emptiness, in that space, in that expansion, in that big place. Just sit with it and look at, wow, I've created this huge space of time and place. Now the creative process can begin to replace it with something else. It's also this great place that we can get to where the quiet pondering and the space and the meditation and the sitting under trees, whatever that looks like, going to the forest or going to the ocean or going to the mountains or whatever that looks like. It's a really great place to see where we get fearful, where we get hung up, where we get tangled up, where all those barbs, mental, emotional barbs are, and choose, that's where that is. No blame, just choose. When we identify it and say, I don't think this serves me anymore, I've grown past it. I don't think this situation, that situation is serving my next purpose. I need to move past it. More of this habitual sorting and sifting, changing, helps each wave of transition occur. And every time there's a new transition that's coming, it is right and it's hardwired to expect what is the most loving, kind, happy, joyful, expanded energy that I can put underneath this burner and stoke that flame. Very quickly, that answer comes. If you're lined up to peace, to love, to harmony, to truth, to compliments, to acknowledging, oh my goodness, this couldn't get any better if it tried. If you're lined up to that, when you get to the point of saying, wow, I didn't even think this could be so good, didn't think this could be so great, keep lining up with it, more of that comes, more of that comes. But the now, the here, the where you are, the creating of that space, the emptying out of the bucket of bother, this is the actual manifestation, the physical realization that this is actually what you've wanted to do for a while. It just happened now. It just came now. So what you ponder, think about, conjure up, get creative with, visualize, stir the pot with, all of those places and situations, whatever that's going on with you, me, us, that's the manifestation piece. That's where it's actually being created. And the sooner you get clear on what you've cleared out, what you no longer work with, what doesn't serve your purpose, and the quicker you get to the fact that, well, it's just fear. Anything comes up to the contrary, and it will, that's fear, that's ego. And as soon as you keep knocking that down and you keep coming back to this space, what you can replace the space with, what you can put in your space with, what you can allow yourself to have, the more that continues to occur. So the point with the peaceful warrior is, in this vibrational manifestation place, in this lifting up to light, in this accepting the goodness, the kindness, in this remembering the purpose we came here to do, there will be challenges. There will be upsets. There will be reactions. There will be responses. The archangel's message is thank you for helping me stand my ground with peace. It is claiming your space, taking your space, and understanding what do you need to walk away with in joy, in love. The best way to be to move past it. That's really a choice. And I can try to get an example of where perhaps your response to something is counterproductive to what someone else may expect you to respond. For example, a person assumes you're going to do something before they've asked you to do it. And they say, you're going to do this for me, right? And you're like, no, I'm not. What do you mean you're not? I'm not. Well, why? Because I'm just not doing that. And then this tumbleweed of nonsense happens. It isn't your duty to teach other people how to respect you or your boundaries, but it is for you to be comfortable with standing your ground. If your intention with that no, we all have an issue with no, if your intention with saying no to a person is actually more on the passive aggressive side, I'll just say no because I just don't think, that's ego. That's really not what a peaceful warrior does. If it is because you would like to pursue something that for you is better, for you is lighter and brighter, for you works with your pathway forward, I don't know that the other folks could be taking issue with it. We've long since lived in this world of give and take, give and receive. I'll do this for you, you do this for me, I'll do this. Yes, there is a balance, giving and receiving. Folks who give lots have a hard time receiving. In fact, folks who give a lot also have an underlying energy of control. Don't like to receive, don't like to get, because it means that we're on the hook somehow. That's the false belief. That's the fear. When we receive things, and I know from experience, it's difficult to remember the graciousness of that person wants to give you something and be gracious to you, and you've just kind of discounted it without being that so kind, and I'm so grateful. And I've learned this year that even a compliment, even an email, even something that somebody does that is like, this is so kind and so good, and you're such a good person for doing it. Really, truly, hand on heart, acknowledging it. So, in the message today from Archangel Ariel, go in peace, understand that you're going to face challenges, and try to find the most loving way to stand your ground. Now I'm going to read from Melody Beatty's book. Here we go. Journey to the Heart. And today's date's the 14th of... We're just rocking right along with this year. We'll be at the end of this book soon, and I'm trying to think, what will I start with in January? A good place to start, right? Find your center. My life has changed so much, the man at Brettonbush told me. I go with the flow now. I try to be in the moment, be spontaneous. I'm a foreman, and even at work, life goes much more smoothly. A year ago, I didn't know what it meant to be centered. Now I do, and I work at staying that way. He looked around at the camp, a nature retreat in the heart of Willamette National Forest in Oregon. And I know how to get there too, he said. For many years I didn't understand what it meant to be centered either. If I was that way for a while, it was more accidental than deliberate. It takes time, practice, and mostly desire and commitment to staying centered as a way of life. But the time it takes is really worth it. Learn what it feels like to be centered, to be balanced. Learn what it feels like to be off-center, and then learn to tell the difference. Then learn to come back to center as quickly as possible. Quiet, relaxed, feeling right about what you're doing, on track, in harmony, at peace, in balance. No turbulent emotions racing through you. No disorganized thoughts clamoring through your head. Your body feels aligned and you feel connected to it. What you do and say comes from your center. It feels right. It feels honest. It feels like you, and you feel connected to yourself, your deepest self, your soul. Your heart is open and your mind is open. That's the place from which we're seeking to live our lives. Find a way to get to that place, then go there often. Some helps include nature, listening to music, going for a walk, repeating a prayer, or forms of deep breathing meditation. It's hard to find a place we've never been to. Learn what it feels like to be centered. Know your center is in you, and then go there often. Well, there you go, my friends. It's all lined up. That card, my message in that book, and I didn't practice any of it. Learn to get empty, to empty out your bucket of bother, and let that space, that freedom, that big pot area just be for a while the center of you, and just allow the goodness, the abundance that the universe says you are deserving of, entitled to, and they want to bring it to you. You know, it's a bit like having this spiritual clearinghouse, a warehouse, if you think, off on the other side. And you're ordering up the goodness, the greatness, the love, the peace, the harmony, all those things. You're putting them on your order book. And then the people at the spiritual sorting office begin to start gathering themselves together, vibrationally making it happen. But then they get this message that, oops, yep, no, oh, okay, changed our mind. Oh, yep, no, there's a fear. Oh, they want to go over that way to get more of what they're used to. They don't want this shiny, bright, clean, tidy. Oh, we've got to go back over there. So it's a bit like ordering it and then saying no, changing your mind. How does that show up physically? Think about any time you've ever gone in a store, filled up your buggy, got close to checking out, and then put everything back on the shelf. Because either A, you're fearful you don't need it, B, too much to carry home, put away, C, you don't know why you got what you got in the buggy, or D, you don't think you can afford all this. All of those reasons why you put it all back on the shelf, or some folks just leave it right there in the store. All of that is based upon something underneath it, something that comes from it, something that you're not paying attention to, which is why you have to empty out the bucket of bother and get clean and clear with what that is. All right, my friends, go with peace, love, harmony, all that good stuff. And until next time, bye-bye.